Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 2023 Hack Summit. We're joined today here by Fatima from Zapper. Zapper is a platform for tracking assets on chain and discovery of wallets. And Fatima will be interviewed by Roshan Patel, who is a partner at Hack VC. So, Roshan and Fatima, please take it away.
Thanks, Ed. Fatima, great to have you here at the summit. I wanted to start maybe a little bit about yourself, your background, maybe some motivations for joining Zapper. And yeah, we can take it from there.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Um, I guess my background a little bit. I was in the financial services, started by financial advisory and accounting. And then I was auditing crypto assets. So this, I guess, was my big jump in the crypto world. I was already using crypto back then, but I just wasn't seeing a fit in my financial background and how I would incorporate it in the crypto world. And then in 2019, I was a big Zapper user already and joined the team. The team started mainly in Montreal. And so I'm also Montreal based. And so I joined the team very early on, and it's been 2 years now.
Nice, that's awesome. So yeah, maybe like assume the audience has varying degrees of experience with Zapper. Can you give a high-level overview of like what is Zapper and what problem is it solving?
Okay. I think a lot of the people got familiar with Zapper as being the DeFi dashboard. Also helping everyone seeing their assets instead of using an Excel sheet. So that was like 2 years ago. DeFi assets only, we were supporting only 2 chains. And then it kind of rolled into this big thing where we decided to support NFTs, for example. We now support DAOs. And I think our goal got more clear as we went on. And so the main goal for us right now is to make the blockchain human readable. I know it's a bold statement. And what we mean by that is we wanted to make it for everyone. And so there was this tweet a month ago, I think, that Jesse Pollack had. It was on chain is the next online. So everything is going to be on chain. And this is really how we're seeing it. And so everyone is going to be on chain, but all the actions and all the things that we're doing identity wise, decision wise, are going to be on chain as well. And so we are tackling this problem on Zapper. I think one of the things is that we want to bring the user closer to the chain instead of abstracting what's happening from the chain and increasing the gap. So we see that there's a big gap between what is happening on chain, how people are interpreting it, how people are seeing it. And so we're just trying to bridge the gap there. I think we were already solving a lot of those issues when we're surfacing positions. So people, have assets in a certain protocol, in a certain app, and we're just surfacing that position, and you're seeing it on Zapper in an aggregated view. But now we also want to surface everyone's activity. And so you're having this on-chain activity of what is going on and what are people doing on chain. So like a Twitter feed, but with on-chain actions for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And just to confirm, is that how far along are you guys in that activity build out? Is it live now? Can people check it out on Zapper? Is it evolving and constantly moving?
So it is in beta right now. If people follow us on Twitter, they see the link to the beta. We're testing. It's almost there. I think that it's a very useful product to this bigger goal that we have, where we see a lot of the users or a lot of the things that have been happening in the past few months where we have been relying on information either from crypto Twitter, crypto influencers, and Telegram, Discord, things like that. And so we use this and we make decisions, make financial decisions. We rely on this type of information where it's kind of ironic because we do have all the information on chain. It's just that there's kind of this asymmetry between knowledge and what we get to see. So we're kind of trying to make it easy for everyone, readable, and we're almost launching, and everyone can test it out. Yeah.
Awesome. And then in terms of your ideal, let's say, user or customer, maybe you can describe who that is really today, and then potentially how you see that evolving in the future, or maybe not. Yeah, who's your kind of ideal future and current user picture?
Okay. That's a really good question because I think Zapper started with it was known as the degen tool. So of course, everyone who was using crypto in the early days were maybe kind of labeled as degen, but very often our goal was to be able to surface the most exotic position or the exotic protocol. So as soon as a protocol was added during the bull market, we wanted to support it on Zapper so the users were able to see their whole assets. So I would say that our first users were very crypto degens. We started swifting from that because first of all, we started supporting more chains. So at first it was only Ethereum. We made the decision to support much more chains. We have now 14 chains. And then last year we integrated NFTs. So we indexed NFTs on Ethereum. And I think that adds the wave of not only DeFi degens, but now NFT collectors that are not necessarily in DeFi, but still want to see their assets, still want to see information, estimated value, rarity, all those things. And now with this third big move that we're doing, which is making the blockchain more human readable, now we want to cater to not only the DeFi degens or the NFT collectors, but also to everyone just entering the crypto space. So, just like bringing all the masses on chain is going to take a lot of work. And one of the things is that you need to have the tools for everyone to see what is going on, how to even start, how to use it. And so I think our third step is to now be for everyone. So as complex as it needs to be for more seasoned users and as easy for newcomers.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that concept gave me like the thought that, in the future, institutions or not just like retail customers of DeFi could be ones using Zapper, assuming, it gives them the customization and flexibility that those power users might need. Yeah.
Exactly.
I wanted to transition this to maybe discussing a little bit of the socialify thesis and aspect of Zapper. There's profile pictures and maybe ways to communicate between accounts. And yeah, I guess the question would be really, what's your thesis broadly around socialify, and how do you see Zapper integrating with that, moving towards that thesis? Yeah.
All right. I think the way we're seeing it right now, and it's still very new, is that for us there's no distinction between being blockchain explorer, DeFi portfolio blockchain explorer, and having a social product. What I mean by that is that as soon as you start surfacing on-chain information about others, so other people that you're following or in your community, you're also surfacing their identity in some way. So what I mean by that is that, let's say by having this activity feed that we're talking about, which is like Twitter, you get a sense of what the person is doing on chain, and that kind of gives you an idea of the identity that they want to showcase. Can be an anon or a person, that is not anon, but essentially you get to see what type of DAOs they're part of, what type of NFTs they're collecting, what type of chains they're interested in. That tells a lot about someone. And so for us, there's a clear link between the social aspect and everything that Zapper does. There's no distinction. I guess there's obviously a way to integrate all those social graphs in the future because we have so many social graphs now going on. And so in this best world, we would see Zapper integrated with all the social graphs where you go there, you're able to follow someone that you follow on Twitter, for example, and then by following them on Zapper and on Twitter, you're able to see what they're up to. And I think that was like surfacing this on-chain activity is going to make people much more accountable. It's going to make the thing that I mentioned a bit earlier about that we rely a lot based on crypto influencers or what type of status you have on Twitter or on Discord or on Telegram. Well, now on top of that, this is going to be linked to your on-chain activities and what you're doing. So I think it's going to add like this level of seriousness. And whatever you say, is it really what's happening on chain? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think that kind of spawns another question from me, which maybe is a little bit more broad, but in the context of the SocialFi thesis, like what are some of the biggest UX or consumer-facing challenges you see in crypto today? And piggybacking off of that, potentially how Zapper aims to solve some of the things it can in that scope.
There is a lot. And I think one of the challenges we even had in the past 2 years is try to solve a lot of those UX problems. And we wanted to solve everything because we want to be this tool, this front end tool for everyone to join the crypto world, which is obviously not possible. The biggest, and I know it's something that everyone's repeating, but it's the first thing that I stumble with when I try to show something to someone who's not in crypto. So it's the onboarding flow. The onboarding process is so painful. And I'm not gonna lie, we did try at Zapper. We were like, if we are the front end interface, we have to solve this problem as well. But there's like so many things that are going into it. And so I think the way we're tackling it is to give the information to the users, but we're lacking all the part before that, which is making a wallet, onboarding, understanding even what a chain is, what are assets. We're using so many complicated words right now in crypto that we're not making our life easier. There is a bunch of tools that are working on that, but I would say everything onboarding wise is pretty bad right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's definitely a challenge. Zapper back in 2021 had this great, like, sort of gamified, called it like season 2, and there was a season 1 before where you did some quests and you got some points for that. Curious how what you guys learned maybe from that process in terms of launching like a gamified sort of quest kind of system on the platform, and then tangentially to that, why no season 3? Where is season 3? Yeah, that'd be good.
So we had season 1 and season 2. It was a really good experience for us. I think we went doing those seasons very blindly. But that was great because we had the goal was to learn. So we didn't know what we were going through. And I think we were one of the first products doing it. So there was a lot of experiencing. There was also this part where you were able to craft your NFTs. So that was in season 2. You could accumulate points. We call them volts. And with those volts, you were crafting NFTs. And you could level them up and have like a silver or a gold NFT. So that was pretty fun. I think on the product side, the reason we wanted to do that is for people to use Zapper, but also explore things that they were not maybe exploring on Zapper. We knew that a lot of users, were opening Zapper to see their assets, so the value, and then closing it. But we wanted, the exploration part, that you're able to bridge on Zapper, that you're able to swap on Zapper, able to see your NFTs and things like that. And so the quests were built according to those exploration parts. Mainly, the biggest issue we ran into, and that's unfortunate for the ones that really enjoyed it, was that we got botted. I think there was a lot of rumors about, those points would be equivalent to airdrops and things like that, and it really got out of hands. But also we learned that it's very hard to gamify a product without having bad actors. There's a lot of like readings and talks about that. But like as soon as you try to gamify something and there is an incentive, can be the points, it can be money, it can be NFTs, anything, like you'll automatically have bad actors on your platform. So you have to kind of deal with that. And also you want to reward the good actors. You want to reward the ones that are there for the good reasons. So that was the main thing, really. It got super successful and everyone was using it. It could maybe got a bit out of hands. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, you like build something innocuous and cool, and then as soon as people get a sniff of like, hey, maybe this matters for something monetarily, they go kind of crazy over it. I get, you know, that kind of brings up another thought for me, which that's like a real product learning there that you had over the course of actually doing something, testing it out, and then, you know, seeing it worked in a different way than maybe intended. Maybe some other things, if you have of that nature, like some learnings from just, you know, building Zapper for the past couple of years and getting it to the point where it is today. Yeah, those would be good to know.
Um, I think I've mentioned it before, but I think wanting to fix all the problems. I
Hmm.
think as a startup, and other crypto startups have doing it as well, is like you enter in this industry, there is so many things that you can work on. There's so many things that you can fix or improve that you want to fix them all. And like it's a matter of like where should I start and what should I tackle? And I think our main thing at the beginning is that we were trying a lot of things. Not that it's not good to try, but at some point, you know, you're trying a lot of things, so your team is spread thin, and like you're losing focus. And one thing we did is that we realized that we were working on a lot of projects, but those projects were not, you know, developing after. And we tried to go back to the source. And this is where we're like, what do we want to do? What is our goal? What is the problem that we're solving? And this is when we got this vision of it has to be more about blockchain, make things more readable, more accessible, more easy. Where before that, we were working on just a bunch of projects, just because it was trendy, just because we were in a bull market and someone was doing something, and so we wanted to support it. So the amount of time that, you know, we were, for example, trying to integrate a new chain without even seeing if the network is gonna even stay, survive, or something. We're just like running after all the new things that teams were building. Where now we're not doing that. We're really focused on the longer term vision.
Got it. That makes sense. And then on the point of other chains, I know, like, you know, Zapper now has a bunch of different EVM chains. I believe it's like ETH, Arbitrum, Polygon, Optimism, a couple others. Of course, there's nothing that's, you know, maybe let's say Cosmos based, and now there's new stuff like Aptos, Sui, and Mistin, and all sorts of things that are coming out. Solana, you know, completely different. Um,
Hmm.
how's the challenge with integrating with these other chains, and do you foresee a future where Zapper is like a one-stop, also cross-chain but cross-structure, not just EVM place to see everything?
Yeah. We've struggled with that. We made some mistakes about some chains that we integrated. I'm not going to name any names. And that was a lot of dev effort for us. And then it ends up not being, you know, sustainable for us to maintain it, or there's the change just dying. So we're being much more mindful now about this type of decisions. So we're not running and integrating the like new thing that everyone is asking for. We're waiting a little bit. We're trying to, again, like think about our North Star. But it's a really good question because I think Zapper's essence is that you go there and you see everything. It's really hard for us to tackle because that means that we constantly need to integrate new networks, but we also need to integrate new dApps on those networks. So sometimes they duplicate and it's like a lot of work. So one thing that we did, it's not on the network side, but on at least on the protocol side, is that we have Studio. So Zapper Studio lets anyone integrate to Zapper. So let's say you have this new protocol on a chain that we support, and you're waiting for Zapper to integrate, and sometimes it might take a long time, especially if your TVL is really low. Then you can go on Zapper Studio and do the whole integration. We have a team that is there for the support, but this has worked amazing for us. It we felt like we were just like chasing, we were like in this rat chase, and now it's much easier for us. So we're communicating with other protocols and they're integrating, we're helping them, and then their users are able to see their assets on Zapper. So that's for protocols, which has been great. But for networks, is not as easy. So we cannot just have this studio thing where people, I mean, ideally, we could have studio and anyone can integrate any network. So I think that would be our ideal world, where all chains can be supported on Zapper. It's just a matter of the teams integrating and using our documentation. I think that's where we would go, where we're not there yet. So we do have to pick our battles and pick our integrations. I mean, just being a bit more mindful, I think, on what we integrate now.
No, yeah, that's super cool. I didn't even know about Studio, and it's kind of a great position to be in, where normally, you know, as a company, you'd be the one that has to integrate into new things, but now people want to be on your platform so much that they're willing to do the integration themselves. It's kind of like flipping the script in a way, and you know, it's less dev hours for you guys.
It's a great flywheel effect where if you want your protocol, if you want your users that are in your protocol seeing their assets, well, and the other protocols are integrated on Zapper, you might want to integrate. And so there's like this flywheel effect that is really working well. And like the Zapper team is still there to do like a lot of the first work, like we have a team dedicated for that, but it does help to have this. I don't have the stats on how many protocols have integrated with our studio. It's been going maybe for less than a year. It's been going really well. Yeah, and I guess the ideal world is to have this, but for networks, where any network just goes through the documentation and yeah.
No, yeah, that's great. Talking maybe a little bit more about Zapper as a company and like the team. You know, you told me prior to this call that, you know, Zapper is only around 20 people, which relative to how, you know, how many people view your site and how well known, let's say, the name is a relatively lean team. So, you know, maybe you could take this in the sense of your product team specifically, or broadly at Zapper. Like, how do you guys think about headcount and growth and scaling as a startup? Yeah.
Especially, I think it's a good question, especially during a bear market. The things have changed in the past few months, that's for sure. It has changed for all the Web3 startups, I believe. For us, it was always to stay lean. I think even during the bull, we were not like, we were less than 30. It was to shift focus on how to build not everything for everyone, but this like what is our main focus. That has helped a lot. We started with a team in Montreal, so I think that builds a lot of the culture fit. We try to stay very true to our principles, I would say. So one thing that's super fun that I mentioned is that I keep saying, we need to have on-chain literacy, we need to bring people to the chain and things like that. But then you have to make sure that in your company, you're kind of doing the same, because it would be super weird. So for example, everyone is paid on chain. Everything is transparent. So we have full salary transparency. And I think it kind of shows how important for us is to have this transparency and this link to on-chain and your identity and who you are, where in some companies in crypto still we have those principles, but then everyone is being paid not in crypto, or you don't know what the other person is paid, and there's like this whole thing that you're trying to guess. It makes people more accountable, I think. The decision making more accountable, how we're paying, valuing our employees, which I find really cool. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your whole question.
Yeah, that answers the question quite well, I'd say. And then I just wanted to get to some of the Q&A because we're reaching the end here. Someone asked, would Zapper be a competitor to Morales Money or DeFi Llama? And I guess I could add more context to this question, which is really, crypto, of course, the transactions are all on chain. They're all open for anyone to see. And sort of an analogy I've used with people is, your credit card bill or app that you see all your transactions in. It's all there, and you can't like go to a Zapper for your Chase account or anything and see it in a different way. But what that means is that people can switch between UIs and UXs pretty easily. So maybe you don't have to answer like, who do you think your biggest competitors are, but we could maybe flip it to more of like, what gives Zapper a competitive moat, given that it's so easy to plug your wallet into any other platform, and how do you see Zapper building that moat in the future?
Yeah. It is a question that, even on the product side, we have to ask it ourselves, because it determines how we build things and what we build. I think some tools are more, without like naming specific names, I think a lot of tools are focused on being analytic tools, data aggregation tools. And one thing I have mentioned is that we want it to be more social. So like bringing the social aspect of it, figuring out how to bring all those social graphs together. So even if you have a Lens social graph, Twitter social graph. So I think that if we are able to achieve this, you're able to do everything. That's the goal. And so like you're saying, like, would you, go in another UX or just plug in and be able to see your wallet assets? We're moving away from just seeing your assets on Zapper, which was our bread and butter before. And it's like, but now you're building your social identity on Zapper. You're having badges. You're participating in things. You're seeing on-chain activities. You're following people. So it brings like a whole nother layer that I haven't seen in other products that have been labeled as competitors to us in the past. So that's how we're seeing it. It's like we're just taking a completely different route, I think, and a natural one, from the on-chain social activity.
Got it. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And then someone asked, I might have a guess of what you answer here, but real quick, are you concerned about security issues related to sharing data about user activities on Zapper? Yeah, maybe I'll let you answer then. Yeah.
Okay, so the way I'm seeing this is user activity is not something that belongs to Zapper because all activity is on chain, right? So maybe there's like maybe the way I explained it was not correct, or maybe I'm misinterpreting the question. But the way I'm seeing it is we don't hold any data. Like we don't track the wallets. We don't even track like if you connected a wallet and another wallet. Like
Yeah.
we have exactly. So that's on the data privacy issue.
We don't need to
So
because it's it's the data is public on chain. Just real quick, since we only have like a couple seconds left here, I just wanted to let's say a developer is excited about DeFi and they're thinking about how to contribute to the Zapper ecosystem. Where would you point them to, and how could they help, particularly with Zapper, let's say?
The studio, Zapper Studio, is the place to be. We have a Discord channel specifically for builders, developers. We have contributors from protocols, but also just people who want to contribute and want to see a protocol integrated. They go on Zapper Studio and they have all the documentation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. This was great. I believe Ed's, yep, there he is.
Thank you very much, Fatima.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Session. You guys are great, and we learned a lot. Thank you very much. As usual, if you enjoyed the session, please consider donating at hacksummit.org to one of our charities. And thanks for being here, Roshan and Fatima.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Of course. So coming up next, everyone, is going to be an amazing session. This is a good friend of ours, Evan Cheng, who's the co-founder and CEO of Miston Labs, which is creating Sui, which is a next-generation blockchain using the Move programming language. So this is going to be a very special session, and we can't wait to see you in just a few seconds. So just hang tight.